The September 19th, 2023 Medina City Schools regular board meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Board of Education and Public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public comment during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Chambers, when you're ready, if you'll call roll, please.
Mr. Nichols? Here. Mr. Ross? Mr. West? Here. Ms. Pritchard?
Here.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. If someone would like to make a motion to approve the minutes as noted in the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 21st meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Pritchard. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Any questions or comments regarding the August 21st regular meeting minutes? Hearing none, Mr. Chambers?
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is the minutes for the special meeting on September 5th.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting on September 5th.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
second.
Ross. Thank you, Ms. Pritchard. Any questions or comments regarding those meeting minutes?
I'll be abstaining from this since I missed that meeting.
I'm going to do the same too, because same reason, missed it.
Thank you. No other questions or comments, Mr. Chambers?
Let's go, Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Abstain?
Mr. West?
Abstain.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Couldn't hit the button.
Any additions, removals, or modifications to this evening's agenda?
No, but I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Mr. Chambers, when you're ready.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sable.
Great. Good evening, everyone. I want to start off. Usually I'm recognizing our students and our staff, but I want to take a moment to congratulate and recognize our board president, Mrs. Parkhurst, for her accomplishment this past weekend of being nominated to her alma mater's Athletic Hall of Fame. So that's quite an accomplishment, and congratulations. And I probably beat Ron to the punch. I'm sure he was going to say something when he had an opportunity, and probably still will, but that's very impressive. And then you were a collegiate athlete at Mount Union as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. At this time, I'd like to invite Claggett Middle School up to the front, and Principal Brian Condit, who took over the helm over at Claggett this past school year. I do have to say, in my visits over at Claggett and talking to staff and students, it seems like it's been an extremely positive start, and I see that smile on Brian's face right now, and he's had that constant smile this whole year. Claggett is really just a great place, and the staff, as well as Brian's presence there, has been very positive. So I'm excited to hear the presentation this evening.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sable, and thank you, Board of Education, for allowing us to come and present to you about how our start of the school year went and give you kind of a little insight to our Claggett culture. But first, I want to congratulate Mrs. Parkhurst as well as a former and fellow Mount Union alumni. I want to congratulate Mrs. Parkhurst on that.
Go Raiders.
That's right, go Raiders. So congratulations, and very, very well deserved. So, well, behind me, I have Mrs. Marcella, who is one of our student council advisors and also our Hive advisor. And then I have behind us some of our Hive leaders and a 6th grade student. So At Claggett, and this is something I walked into and was able to just kind of pick up and follow Mrs. Marcella's lead, they do sixth grade orientation a little different at Claggett, and I felt it was very important that we highlight how we set the Claggett culture and how we begin that Claggett commitment to really build a strong community at our school. So I asked Mrs. Marcella after I was able to see our students in action and see our Hive leaders really take the helm. And I think what's key here to remember is our Hive leaders are made up of 7th and 8th graders. And these are true leaders of the building, and what Mrs. Marcella does is truly remarkable. She hands it over to our students and gives them the leadership roles and really takes that portrait of Bee and embraces it. So you really look at respectful citizen, communicator, collaborator. She really sets the bar high for our kids, and they do an excellent job exceeding that bar. You know, I will tell you, as the new principal walking in and Mrs. Marcella coming and saying, I'm going to give this over to our 7th and 8th graders, and we're going to have 220, 230 6th graders come in, and 2 adults, and then, you know, whatever administrative team's there, and they got it. And I'm like, okay, okay. But I will tell you, those 2 days that our 6th graders came in and worked with our Hive leaders was outstanding. The schedule that was laid out for our students, the schedule that our Hive leaders followed, and the work that they did in order to prepare our 6th graders was truly outstanding. And then a key part that we added into it this year was we had parents then come for the final part, for parents to get a little parent orientation, and for our 6th graders to walk the parents around the building. So it truly was a great experience, and truly wanted to have the opportunity to highlight it here today. So I'm going to have Mrs. Marcella turn it over and introduce some of our students that are with us today.
Awesome. Thank you. So I feel like I don't have to say anything now because Mr. Condit said it all. Again, I'm Angie Marcella, and I have been an advisor over at Claggett now for it's been 10 years or better for student council. And the idea came to me when my oldest daughter was in Link Crew over at the high school. And I was so petrified to drop her off as a freshman and know that, okay, well, she just gets to go and experience the day. And the ball started rolling of, I can do that at Claggett. And I want our middle schoolers with all of our feeder schools to be able to come into middle school with a fun new approach to get to know older students. And so for me, the why, just like Mr. Condit already laid out, is that I think of a hive, I think of how worker bees work, and it takes all of us. It takes the community, it takes parents, it takes students, it takes admin, it takes us teachers to all continue to be involved in our students' lives. So that is kind of how Hive got rolling. And so, yes, 7th and 8th graders are the ones who take the helm, and they are then given a set list of students, and I divide all those things up, and we have a 4-hour training day that they have to commit to ahead of time to join us. And I'm just really proud of them. I'm really proud of the work that they've done. And this being our 2nd year, we've made some modifications. Like Mr. Condit said, adding that parent component was huge, bringing them in and kind of then turning that over to your student and realizing that maybe they're not so nervous to join in to middle school as they might have once thought they were, to be, joining a new school district, not a district, you know what I meant, a new school. But anyways, I'd like to not spend a lot of time for me talking about the why. I brought with us 4 of our Hive leaders today, and that would be Addison Condit. We have Katrina Dietrich, Sydney Rochelle. I always say Rochelle, and she corrects me every time. And Avery Atkinson are our Hive leaders, and oddly, they're all 7th graders this year, so they had to apply for this position to be selected to run our leadership. And so they're going to kind of talk about the training day experience, and then I'd like to turn it over to one of our actual 6th grade students who went through orientation and kind of what she felt, how she felt, and being contacted by her Hive leaders. So girls, I'm going to invite you up to take the stage.
Hi, I'm Addison Condit. We were at Claggett for a 4-hour training. This training was to help us get ready to welcome the 6th graders to Claggett. When we first got there, we sat down and were told what we were doing, and then we got our own folder with a checklist and other papers that we needed. Then we learned different ways to communicate with our students to make them feel more comfortable. It was important to us for the sixth graders to be comfortable at the orientation.
Hi, my name's Katrina Dietrich. We wanted to make our students feel comfortable, so we went home and looked up some icebreakers to break the ice. Some examples are Simon Says, Full Corners, etc. We also had some extra activities such as word searches. Again, we wanted to make our students feel comfortable in our environment and also to get to know people. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sydney Rochelle, and once we got to our assigned classrooms, we got folders and goodie bags. Inside of the goodie bags, there were suckers, pencils, and other things that would be fun to have at home. Also locks, so they could learn their locker combinations. In the folders, there were schedules, notes for parents, and other things like that, so that they could have more information about what is to come at for their school year at Claggett. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Avery Atkinson, and in the folders they contain schedules, our email so they can contact us, and a parent letter and their schedules. We also gave them locks and let them practice their locks for 10 to 15 minutes when they came. During the training, each of us were assigned a classroom to take our students to and to give them all their information. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brenda Salvo. I'm a sixth grader at Claggett Middle School. I was honestly very nervous to join Claggett in the beginning because of how different and bigger Claggett was compared to my elementary school. The day of orientation, I went in feeling very nervous and came out feeling way more confident. When I met my Hive leader, Sydney, things changed quickly. I started feeling way more confident when I saw and got more used to Claggett. When I got shown the whole school, I thought to myself, it's not as bad as I thought. I also found out that I know a lot more people at orientation than I thought. When my Hive leader emailed me a few days later asking how my first day was and if I felt comfortable, I responded with, it was going good. I got used to switching classes quickly and I felt way more comfortable than I was before. Thank you for making me feel way more better at Claggett, I said. Thank you.
So just hearing a little bit about their experience, the bottom line as a Hive leader is I wanted to be able to turn the leadership over to our student body and have the students be the ones that kind of lead our kids where they need to be, and to show that, I love that he put, Mr. Condit said it, a new administrator, okay, so 230 kids are going to be coming and we're just going to let the students do it. And I said, yes, I promise you they will be ready and they will know exactly what to do. And I think it's been a success so far, and I love that we're going to continue to have Hive leadership meetings. The kids their responsibilities are to continue to reach out to their students. We're orchestrating a team breakfast so that those kids can meet with their Hive leaders. We have goodie bags for their lockers, end of the first quarter, yay, we made it kind of things, so that they can constantly keep in contact with their Hive leader and an older member of Claggett. So I really appreciate your guys' time. Thank you very much.
All right, so that was just a little synopsis of what the first couple of days of our sixth grade orientation looked like. And I think the key that Mrs. Marcel really hit on was giving our sixth graders a connection point. Having them know there's another student in the building they can reach out to who has gone through their sixth grade year, is familiar with the building, knows the resources, and it's really making that connection, because we know at the bottom of everything, the most important part is relationships. And I think when we start establishing strong relationships, not only from kid to kid, but then student to staff, staff to staff, that's what makes the Claggett community so special. And having this program now for 2 years, you truly can see the difference that it's making in the building. And I only see it growing. As Mrs. Marcella pointed out, the young ladies that are behind me, they're seventh graders, so they're going to have the opportunity to do it again next year and just build on their experience from this year. So I'm excited to see this program continue to grow and watch it grow throughout the course of the year as we do these other experiences where they're able to reach out to their sixth grade students just to continually check in. And it will really set the tone for our building culture. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm sure the young ladies behind me would love to answer any questions that you may have about their experience or their time here at Claggett. So I didn't tell them this, but about the question point, but if you have questions, they are more than happy to answer them because they are responsible citizens and great communicators. So I'll see if there's questions for them. Or Mrs. Marcella.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming in this evening. This sounds like a fantastic program. I know that when my children went off to, they were at Root, but I remember that first day with the locks, very nervous about that. So that's great that you were able to help the sixth grade students and assist them with that process and give them a familiar face when they get there. If they need assistance, they can ask. My question for any one of you who would like to answer is, would you recommend being a Hive leader to one of your friends for next year?
Go ahead. You guys can go.
And why?
I would recommend doing it again because it really like helps everyone. Like on my first day of sixth grade, like for Hive things, it was like I was really nerve-wracking, but like at the end of it, like I thought it was really fun and I was really excited for sixth grade, and I'm happy that I could do it for new sixth graders coming in.
Thank you.
I would also recommend it because it not only helped the sixth graders, but it also helped, I think, the Hive leaders a lot because it got them more comfortable with the new kids that were coming into the building, and also the sixth graders had somebody to go to, but also the seventh graders had people to go to. So they like had new friendships, and I think it opened up the Hive leaders a lot too, and to just get to know more people that are at your school because you're going to be with them for the whole school year.
That's great. Thank you.
I know from experience dealing with Boy Scouts and having older scouts mentor and coach and guide the younger ones, that this is very much in that model. But I have some questions. One for the Hive leaders. What have you guys found the most rewarding? Mr. Condit's daughter. It doesn't matter. It's fine. And then for the young lady that's the sixth grader, what's your name? Bryn. What did you find the best about this? I mean, did you make friends? Was it easier coming in?
It was a way lot easier coming in, and then like at orientation, like already made a lot new friends just from meeting new people and meeting people from the other schools and all of that. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. Sounds like a really good program. So
And we'll let you know the dates next year if you like. I mean, it's a fantastic.
it'd be fun to come see it.
Yeah, they did a really great job, and I, as a leader, am so proud of the dedication that they have to choose to want to show up. They have to choose to be present. They have to choose to want to continue to build those relationships. And I just, as a leader, it's my full passion that if we give it back to the students, they really rise to the occasion, and I think that's huge.
I couldn't agree with you more. If you turn it over to the youth and stand back, they rise to the occasion and they surprise you. So
Yeah, they do a great job. So.
thank you very much, ladies.
Of course.
Thank you, Claggett, and our Claggett visitors for joining us this evening. Next up on my communications for our Board of Education, as well as our community, is a quick update on bond and our levy issue. I did want to make sure the board, as well as our parents and community, are aware that I did send out a communication at the end of last week regarding the upcoming bond and levy issue. The communication contained factual information about the two issues. What I wanted to share this evening is information regarding why and what we're sharing with the community. I have frequently received questions this past school year about why we're not sharing more information or putting more information out as a school district about the upcoming levy and bond issue. And I did address or attempt to address some of that in the communication that I sent out. The reason why is because there's been a change in the laws, in the legislation, in regards to how school districts can communicate on levy and bond issues. That's House Bill 140. That legislation was passed by our state legislators approximately 2 years ago. And it restricts the kind of information that school districts, specifically superintendents as well as treasurers, can relay to constituents. And it constricts it to solely what's deemed as factual information. So that's the type of information that was shared out in the communication this past week, and that's the kind of communication that we will continue to share out as a school district in order to help ensure that our community members are informed on the information from the school district on the upcoming levy and bond issue. The bond issue is a 2.83 mil bond, while the levy is a continuous operational levy at 6.5 mils. They are on the ballot as one issue. And we just found out, Treasurer Chambers just found out this past week that our bond ballot number is lucky number 13. I told our Amy Busby as well as Dave that I think that's good luck for us because it's been a big Taylor Swift summer, and Taylor Swift's favorite number is 13. So our bond issue carries Taylor Swift's number. In addition, they are tied together, which means when constituents vote on the ballot issue, they will be voting on both issues together. The cost of the issues is approximately $280 per year per $100,000 of assessed value. Assessed value is the auditor's value of an individual's property. It is not the sale value, and that is an important thing to take note of, because the assessed value, which is what's taken for tax purposes, is almost always a great deal lower than what the actual sales value is. And families can find that value right on the auditor's website, and they can locate links to that on our website. The bond issue is for construction purposes. The construction that we are looking for the dollars to be used for is to move forward with the yellow plan, which allows for construction of a 7-8 building, which would replace Claggett. That construction would occur directly across the street from the existing Claggett. It would also include the construction of a new multi-purpose stadium, which would go where Claggett currently stands. And that facility would be used for middle school athletics as well as a soccer athletics stadium. In addition, it would include an expansion over at Root. This expansion is necessary for it to transition to a 5-6 building in order to house all of those students. Also, the bond would include a turf project at Root Football Stadium for it to be a multi-use field. While construction is occurring, it would actually be a game field. Down the road, though, that would transition to more often being a practice facility. We do need more practice facilities in the district, especially if that Claggett construction were occurring across the street where we currently have practice fields. A small amount of those dollars also would be used to do some minor upgrades to Garfield to transition it to a board office facility. And I say minor upgrades because we're not talking about major changes in Garfield. It'd be maintaining the current structure within the building. We're talking about minor modifications to make it usable as an office facility for adults. So I think the easiest example is replacing the child-size toilets and sinks with adult-sized toilets and sinks, maybe adding some partitions to some of the classrooms to break up some of the office spaces and things like that. But the general structure of the facility would stay intact. In terms of the operation levy, that is new money that we would be looking for, and it is to maintain current programming that is in place. In the communication, I listed many programs that we've worked on putting in place over the course of the last 8 years, including things like all-day free kindergarten, teaming at the middle school, expanded course offerings at the high school as well as the middle schools, increased guidance counseling services at all grade levels, decreased class sizes at the elementaries. So that is what we are looking for with the bond and levy issues, and that's a summary of the update that I sent out this past week. Again, more information is available on our website, and we will continue to provide this information to our community as the November approaches. There's also other resources out in the community and partners. Kids First is a district partner that is community driven to provide support, as well as other resources like our booster organizations and our PTOs, which are also great resources for parents to reach out to or reaching out to us directly. We do have a document out there which was in the letter and is on the website where people can go and submit individual questions to us that we will follow up with as well, because we are making every effort to make sure that people do have the accurate factual information on the upcoming bond and levy issue. Next thing I have is homecoming. We are already in the midst of our homecoming week, and our high school students are celebrating the biomes. They have a science theme, which makes me happy as a former science teacher over at the high school. So they've got the high school hallways decorated by each grade level. They do a hallway decoration competition where they each have a different biome that they are using as a theme. We've expanded homecoming festivities this year and have been fortunate to have collaboration with community members in order to make that happen. Again, I think that really speaks volumes to the kind of place that our communities are here in Medina, that there is such an interest in our school district and in our student activities. So we are looking at an expanded parade this year in terms of participation. We've also moved that parade back to Thursday evening, so that'll be this Thursday evening at, help me, Amy? 6:30. It's going to start over at Garfield, where it has traditionally started, and is going to go around the square and end at the high school. At the end of the parade, there is going to be the first annual Powder Puff football game. They call it a Powder Puff football game. I really think it should have a different name, because I've attended these before in other places, and the young women who play in these flag football games play hard. And what Powder Puff football is the young women, our juniors are going to play our seniors, play flag football, and then our young men play as the referees as well as the cheerleaders to cheer them on. And it is a fundraising event for the high school. And in addition to that, the foundation is going to be there supporting the event with some food trucks in addition to that. And I think it's going to be a good opportunity for our community to get together following the parade. Then on Friday evening is the big homecoming football game, which I encourage everybody to come out for, where we will be facing the Euclid Panthers. Where I do anticipate our Medina Bees coming out with a big win, and following the evening up with what's become or has been a tradition in the 8 years I've been here, the fireworks sponsored by Student Council, the high school Student Council, following the game. And the fireworks have really become a magical thing for our students. In the past, it's really been an opportunity for unity. Not only for our students, but for our visiting team, where last year the teams, our two schools, actually came together and sat out on the field and watched the fireworks together. So it was really a special moment for homecoming. And then our students will have their homecoming dance on Saturday, where I wish everybody a safe and fun evening. Our district report cards were released for the state the end of last week. And I'm going to steal a little bit of Tina's thunder, but she's got lots of lightning to share. First thing I want to share is the overall school ratings were released this year, and we did very well at a 4.5 out of 5 stars. So I'm very proud of all of our students for their hard work in school and the support that their parents have provided them. In addition, extremely proud of our teachers working through challenging times through the pandemic with homeschooling. Also, with great transitions we've made in our district with curriculum and new direction that we've headed in modernizing education in Medina City schools, which I know Tina's going to talk a little bit about today. And then the other piece, really being proud of our area as a whole. And I didn't see this on the front page of the Plain Dealer or their website, but it should have been. It was on the front page of the Gazette. But Medina County is ranked #1 in the state for overall performance of all of its schools on the state report card. So that shows you the kind of quality we have overall here in all of our school districts in Medina County, and that's something for us to be proud of. Tina?
Like Aaron said, we have good news to share with everybody tonight. And again, I want to reiterate, this is due to the hard work of our staff and students. They did such a great job last year. So our report card components, this is how the state grades us every year. We are graded on achievement, progress, gap closing, graduation, and early literacy. There will be an additional component in 24-25, college, career, workforce, and military readiness. I did put some links on this page for you. The report card is a link. It will take you directly to our Medina City Schools site. And then there's an ODE resource guide as well, in case you wanted more information about how to interpret those results. So, but overall, like Aaron said, our rating was 4.5, which is great. I put an overall rating distribution so that it would give you kind of a nice look at how we fared compared to other districts in the states. There are 608 other districts. Achievement measures how our students perform on state assessments. It no longer measures just whether they passed or not. Now it measures how well they do on the test. So there are 5 different categories you could score in. Advanced being the highest, and then it goes to accelerated, and then proficient. So the higher you score, the more points that you earn. We earned 4 stars here, and I did put the scale on there so that you could see that that means we exceed state standards in academic achievement, and you would need a 90% to score 5 stars. We were 88%, so we were a very, very, very strong 4-star. Progress measures the growth that students make from year to year. So in this component, we also earned 4 stars, which means significant evidence that we exceeded student growth expectations. To earn 5 stars, you need to also add an effect size of 0.1, which means that it's the amount of growth students make. We weren't able to really look at that. That data isn't available yet, but we will share that when we have that data available. Gap closing measures how our subgroups are doing. So low socioeconomic status or EL students or students with disabilities, how they're performing compared to students as a whole. And in this area, we scored 5 stars, which means significantly exceeding state standards and closing educational gaps. So we're really proud of that. Graduation, we also received 5 stars, significantly exceeding state standards and graduation rates. Early literacy, we received 3 stars, and 3 stars means we meet state standards in early literacy. And early literacy is made up of a couple of different components. So first, it's how students perform on the 3rd grade reading test. Next is how many students we are able to promote to 4th grade. If students didn't do well or didn't make the cut score on the reading test, there are other alternative tests we can give, and we had virtually everyone being able to be promoted that way. And then we also track students and their growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So those three components go into this. In order to earn 4 stars, you need 78%. We were at 77%. So again, a very, very strong 3 stars. I put a slide in here for state comparisons so you could see how many other districts in the state scored as we did. So I'll let you take a look at that. But I do also know that our report card is really only a part of what we do. Another important part is our portrait of a bee. That is what we pledged to the community that we were going to work on to make sure our students are leaving Medina City Schools as resilient lifelong learners, innovative problem solvers, communicators, collaborators, responsible decision makers, and respectful citizens. In fact, we set a district goal, our academic goal, based around that. Normally, in the past, we have always set our academic goals based solely on state test performance, but we know that it's a much bigger picture than that. So our goal this year is to enhance understanding and increase implementation of deeper learning throughout the district. So if you go to the next slide, it kind of talks about what deeper learning is. So deeper learning is a mesh of the rigorous academic content that students need, but also the skills, mindsets, and experiences, and that is our portrait. So it's bringing those 2 things together. And deeper learning empowers students to engage with the content, transfer and apply that knowledge, and use the essential skills that they need in real-world contexts. So here are some examples of some really great projects that our teachers have done with our students over the past couple years in ways that they are engaging students, ways that they are doing real-world experiences with students. And we call that our Highlighting Innovation Award. Teachers can put in an application saying their project, and then they can earn a Highlighting Innovation Award, and it gets featured in our newsletter. Another thing we did last year was our Portrait to Practice Expo, so teachers could share great ideas on how they're incorporating deeper learning experiences in their classroom. This was very well attended. We had over 40 staff members presenting. We had over 120 staff members that attended, so it was a really great expo to show each other how they are incorporating those deeper learning experiences. Another thing that we are going to be adding this year are capstone projects. And capstone projects is another way to assess students, and it's a way to assess students on our competencies. Capstones are always transdisciplinary, which means it won't only show up in ELA or math or science. It always goes over different content. It offers more opportunities for voice, choice, agency, and independence for students. Brian's example of sixth grade, his sixth grade was a great example of that. They had lots of voice in that, agency, and independence. It's designed to incorporate student reflection and assessment of their competency development. So students are thinking about, how am I showing I'm a resilient lifelong learner? How am I showing that I'm becoming a better communicator? And it always includes a public reflection in which students describe their growth in their portrait competencies. So right now we are in a pilot because we are developing these capstone experiences, but our goal is to have a capstone experience for every student at the end of every grade band. And right now our grade bands are 5, 8, and 12, so that's what we're working with. In fifth grade, we have a couple classroom teachers, I think in 3 buildings, that are working on putting that together, and their focus question is, as an entrepreneur, how can I use my strengths to collaboratively solve problems? So their project is going to have a heavy career focus, and they're going to be working with the design process. In 8th grade, their focus question is, how will I grow to understand myself as a learner as I discover, explore, and pursue my passions and interests? And in 12th grade, how will I demonstrate my portrait of a B competencies to make an impact on the world around me? We have one class of a capstone at the high school. We have one class at the middle school, and like I said, 3 classes across the district at elementary. And the idea is, once those projects are developed, we'll expand that next year, and then the following year, all 5th, 8th, and 12th graders will have that experience. So are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. And that is congratulations to your department, the teachers, and the students for doing so well on the report card this year. It was a lot of work, and that's just great news. So thank you so much.
This evening, I wanted to provide the board with a brief update on school vouchers. A year or two, the board voted to make a commitment to join a consortium of school districts in Ohio against school vouchers. And it's because the voucher system diverts public dollars away from public school systems and reroutes them towards private and parochial schools. Our state legislators continue to expand the school voucher system, and that has happened over the course of the past year or two, and as recently as the past budget that was passed and signed by our governor. The current voucher system that was put into place, the numbers that were released is that the payouts and applications for the voucher system have tripled from where they were at last school year. And there is still a month that families have to apply for the vouchers, and payouts will continue with this voucher system. So there are great deals of money that are being diverted towards private schools that could be going to support public schools that are instead having to go out and ask their communities for money for support. What's made it an even bigger challenge recently is with some of the new legislation that has passed is that public school systems have been blinded as to the amount of money and the dollars that have been being shifted. We used to know the exact amount that was being shifted in our community and what students those were being shifted from, but that information is no longer shared with us. That happens directly at the state level now, and we're not provided with that information. And it can be misleading sometimes because it can be advertised as though, well, the state is no longer taking money from the schools, but the reality is that money is still being diverted from the schools. The schools just are no longer being informed of who the students are and the amount of money that is being diverted. We're fortunate here in Medina City Schools where we have a great school system where we offer outstanding programming, and our families generally want their children to attend here. And I don't think that we've seen a fluctuation or a withdrawal of students. Where we're seeing the diversion of dollars is students that live in our community that never attended Medina City Schools to begin with. That now money is diverting away from our district from children that never were enrolled within our schools from day one. The reason why the amounts are increasing so much in terms of the dollars going away from public schools towards private schools is because the legislators are expanding and continue to expand eligibility to families for the voucher program. When school vouchers originally came on the scene, it was quite a long time ago at this point. I want to say as far back as 15 plus years ago. The voucher system was really advertised as a program meant for inner city and poor school districts to give those children an opportunity who are in poor communities to have other options to attend better schools. But the voucher system has now been expanded to provide voucher monies and opportunities for families that have incomes of $130,000 a year. So it's gone way beyond what the initial intent was, and it's expected, and the push is that it's going to continue to expand even beyond that in the future. So I think it's something that we need to, as a district and as a community, to continue to be aware of, especially as we're looking at our expenditures and how our tax dollars as a community are being utilized, not only here within the school district, but how they're being utilized and budgeted outside of the school district. Especially when public dollars are being diverted to entities that may have private interests that don't fit within the public laws or public domain or the same expectations that we have for public school districts. The next thing I have is the OSBA conference, and I can't believe I'm talking about November already, but I am. It's coming up the first weekend, or the second or third week in November. So we are in the process of working with Lisa to register for that conference. I believe she's already sent out some information regarding the OSBA conference. So if you are interested in attending that, I do encourage our board members to. It's a great professional development opportunity. I know it's a challenge for our board members, balancing your full-time jobs as well as your board positions, but it is good professional development on legislation that's occurring in the state, as well as board membership and school district laws. So Lisa will continue to get information out, and if she hasn't already, we'll send a survey out so you can respond to that to let her know if you're able to attend on what days. I do know that we might have a few less of our team attending as usual because we do have some PD days and time this year during that time, so we're going to need some hands on deck here to work with our staff. And the last thing I have is the board had approved us to send a team of teachers and administrators to St. Louis for the SOAR 21st Century Teaching and Learning National Conference, and that is coming up next week. That is occurring next Wednesday and Thursday, and we actually have 2 presentations that'll be occurring at the national conference that we're excited about, and to bring back some good information. But the collaboration that we're able to have with schools across the country that have similar goals in advancing teaching and learning, and really modernizing education, like Tina had said during her presentation, and I'm glad she said that the report card is just one part of what we do. And her and I have both told staff this year that our focus is not on test scores. Our focus is on instructional strategy and learning, and with that, the test scores will come. So we're flipping our philosophy a little bit because our focus needs to be kids, not numbers. And to work with like-minded districts is really beneficial in helping to advance our school district and to see where we're at on a national level with the work that we are doing. So we're looking forward to, in another month, reporting back out to the board on that workshop. We went last year, and it's one of the best ones I've been to in my career. Thank you.
Can I just ask one question? This is about the bond and levy. People have asked, people who live over by Root and other people who don't, there are no lights at Root. So how are we going to handle having soccer games that like start at 5 and then at 7? Like right now it's getting a little dark, but that's the question that people have.
Yeah, we'll have to work with our athletic department in terms of making adjustments to the schedule. But the other option we have is to bring in portable lights. Shaker Heights is a community that actually brought in portable lights for the last 2 years for their football stadium until they converted to permanent ones. So we do have options to be able to still carry on those events.
Thank you for the update, Mr. Sable. And I do appreciate you pointing out again that our focus is providing a rigorous curriculum to our students, and by doing that, the test scores will come. So I do appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Chambers, if you're ready.
Yeah, I just want to hop on what Aaron was talking about with the vouchers. If the board recalls, 2 years ago, the legislators passed the Fair School Funding Plan. And immediately after the passage, the legislative leaders said, this plan is only going to be in effect for 2 years unless passed, because we don't want to put legislators in a position where they have to fund unfairly schools. They basically kept the amount of funding to schools. They increased it this year, but they increased the funding to community schools and private schools exponentially, as Aaron said. Following recent legislation and the numbers that have come out, the House leader said he foresees that the voucher funding will increase exponentially into the future. Now, this is the same person that 3 years ago said we can't keep funding schools at the pace we're funding. So I'm questioning, one, what happened between what we were doing 3 years ago and what we're doing now, that exponentially funding private schools is acceptable to him, where exponentially funding public schools cannot happen at all. So, okay, let's talk about finances. The district bank balance decreased $3.4 million in August to $75.1 million. This is $5 million below last year at this time. The 5-year forecasted revenues were above last August by $1.6 million. Real property, state foundation, and other revenue accounted for this increase. 5-year forecasted expenditures were below last August by $886,000. Personal services, supplies, capital, and transfers accounted for this decrease. The sales tax fund balance decreased to $3.6 million. The district spent approximately $710,000 in August with expenditures on paving, roofing, and our pickleball courts. The district received payments from the boosters and from the city totaling $78,000. The rec center capital fund balance decreased to negative $151,000. The district spent $286,500 in August and on the expansion project and natatorium upgrade project. Payments from the city will be deposited into this fund as they refund the district. The district received $207,000 in investment income. The total collected for the current fiscal year is approximately $177,000 above last year at this time. And finally, the district has forecasted funds true day balance estimated to be 195 days. This is up from July by 7 days and below last year by 43 days. Please remember the true days cash is based on a 360-day year and is based on just the general fund and the substitute levy itself. Now let's go on to our permanent appropriations. Let me find our permanent appropriations. Our permanent appropriations, we're looking at a total of $134,900. This is below last year at this time, and the main reason for it being below last year is because of our ESSER funds and our ARP ESSER funds. We've spent down those monies quite a bit. ESSER, as a matter of fact, has to be spent completely by the end of this month, and ARP ESSER by the end of next year. Our general fund and our substitute levy, which make up our forecasted funds, are up by $900,000 as compared to last year. Any questions? Oh, no, I'm sorry, I shouldn't ask that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. If there's no questions for Mr. Chambers, we will move to board communications. Mr. West, if you'd like to start us off.
Excuse me. Yeah, we had a facilities meeting a couple weeks ago, and I know Ryan went over all the projects, and there's a lot of stuff that's finishing or in the process of finishing, like the high school roof. I know he was waiting on, they were waiting on metal for that, but the roof is almost done. The pool, I read that the pool is now open, although there is still a little bit of tile work that needs to be done, but the pool is open so it can be used, so that's a good thing. And we talked a little bit about panels for the gymnasium a little bit, along with the new scoreboards. And then just on a note, it's been nice to get to go to football games. I was there last Friday night. It was a whole lot of fun. It's nice to see all the people out, and lots of people from, I think I saw a few sitting in the home stands from Brunswick too. So it's nice to see everybody out and all the fans, and it's just nice seeing the whole community come out for the school and the players, and Brunswick, and even our opponents too. So, but looking forward to homecoming this weekend, and that's about it.
Thank you. Just the voucher issue is a little aggravating to me, because I think every taxpayer anybody who pays taxes should be extremely upset that your tax dollars are being diverted for private interest. That really bugs me a lot. And I would encourage the community, all the community members, to contact your state legislators some way, shape, or form, and get them to explain to you why they would support such a venture. I don't know, I agree with Aaron and Dave. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. It's frustrating. And we have a great district, and I want to see it thrive, and our staff is doing a great job, so appreciate all you're doing. I just wish the state legislators could see that. But anyway, that was the downer, extreme downer. But I do have, I want to thank Mrs. Parkhurst, congratulate her for being nominated to her high school Hall of Fame. That's quite an honor. So proud of you as our board president, our leader, and at your high school. So well done. And then as far as I was able to attend a couple, like the football games Andrew mentioned, but also a couple city events involving the Tunnels to Towers race, supporting the Tunnels to Towers Foundation, so that we don't forget what happened on 9/11. And then the next day, that was on the 10th, and then on the 11th, the city held a remembrance ceremony at our 9/11 memorial. And both events were well attended by the community. And it's nice that the city involves the community in these events so that we do not forget what happened on that day in 2001. So that's all I got. I wish I was more happier.
Can I add something again? I'm sorry. I just remembered something I wanted to add. It's coming up before the next board meeting, but on, I think it's Saturday, October the 7th, is the Milt Place cross-country meet over at Ella Canavan. And I would encourage the community to go out and watch probably over 2,200 runners from schools all over the state come in and race over there at Ella Canavan. And as Milt Place used to tell me, he loves that course, and the families love it because you get to see your kid like 6 times run the race, whereas normally you get to see him once. But it's really neat seeing all those young ladies and men out there running. And I know Medina's, both the boys and the girls are doing very well this year. So I would encourage the community to go out, and on October the 7th, they should be racing. They start, I think, at 9:30, and then they go pretty much almost all day. So, and the best race is at the end when the little elementary school kids get to run with Jordan Olson around the track. So it's fun.
Yeah, I don't really have anything too much committee-wise to update on. I know Becky will cover the curriculum committee. Couple things, like Ron had mentioned, congratulations, Becky, on getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. If it was your college one, I wouldn't give you congratulations because I went to Capital. So, rival schools. Then the one thing that I wanted to point out that I know Gene has written down is I believe this is the first time in the history of our boys soccer that they are ranked #1, not in Ohio, but the whole nation. Like, we have the best high school soccer program in the nation. So, you know, congratulations to them, but also sorry, because now every single team has to achieve that. We have expectations now. You got to be first or you're last, right? And then Ron is already getting fired up about the elected officials at the State House passing legislature against the education. I'm glad that I am not part of that, and I have no intention on doing that, because this is calm Ron right now. He's on school board. He can't go completely loose on him. So, yeah, soon though, soon.
Yeah, just to piggyback off the soccer thing, and the girls are ranked #1 in the state. So, and they had a big win last night against Walsh, 2-1. So, and the boys beat Hoover on Saturday, and the only 2 losses that Hoover has had have been in Medina in the past 2 seasons. I'd also like to congratulate the marching band for their first place finish at their Saturday band competition. The cross-country teams ran down in Kentucky, and the boys shattered a lot of school records, and they did well, as did the girls. Yeah, I think the girls were 4th or 5th. So I went to the girls' volleyball game on Thursday against Menor. Menor's one of the one of the best programs along with Brunswick, but our girls still had a very spirited match. Official didn't help a couple times with some of the calls. But I also would like to thank the principals for all their hard work in their buildings, but also preparing the monthly newsletters. It's nice to find out what's going on in the buildings. I, too, would like to congratulate Mrs. Parkhurst. It's great. I know what it's like, so enjoy it. And then just to all the people involved in homecoming this week, I hope you have fun, but I want you to be safe, so don't do stupid things. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'll just add a few things. Joe mentioned the curriculum committee. We did meet and had very good discussion regarding the pilot CKLA language arts, elementary language arts curriculum that's being piloted in several classrooms at each building throughout the district. So excited to talk some more about that at our next meeting next month. The policy committee did not meet this past month. I believe we're scheduled to meet in October, the first week in October. I had a chance to pop in one of the volleyball games and see the new scoreboards up and running, and they are phenomenal. So you could see the score from every seat in the house, and I encourage everyone to take a chance to check those out and see how well our volleyball teams are doing. To piggyback off of some of what Mr. Sable had mentioned, I do encourage our community members to educate themselves about the school voucher program and the state budget. I know there's a lot going on in our everyday lives, and it can sometimes seem a little cumbersome to have to find out and stay alert and abreast of what these issues are, but I do encourage everyone to do that because it does affect our public schools. Additionally, make sure that you check out our website, emails, all information related to the levy campaign that's coming up. Make sure you're registered to vote. I think voting registration is going on right now. So I encourage everyone who is not registered to vote to get registered to vote and get their friends registered to vote as well. We do have great resources on our school website about the bond and levy campaign, and there's some fact sheets, and I encourage everyone to check those out and share them with friends and family, and do not hesitate to reach out to our administrators or any of your board members with questions. Thank you very much. If there's no other board comments, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment. I don't believe anyone signed in to speak, So if no one desires to do that, I'm going to waive the reading of the public comment rules and move on to our treasurer action items. Mr. Chambers.
Yes, if it please the board, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the August 23 Treasurer's Finance Report. Item number 2, permanent appropriations. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the following permanent appropriations as placed in the agenda. And item number 3, resolution request to refund or carry balances. It's recommended that the Board of Education elect to receive the automatic refund amount for fiscal year 22-23 and maintain a carryover balance with the Educational Service Center of Medina County, with the balance remaining at $25,000.
I'll make a motion to approve treasurer's action items. 1, the treasurer's report. 2, the permanent appropriations for 2023, 2024, and the resolution request of refund of carryover balances.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. West. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Are there any questions or comments from the board regarding these action items? Hearing none, Mr. Chambers.
Yes, Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sable?
Number 1 is donations. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following donations. I would like to thank our Medina City Schools Foundation for their $1,200 donation to Northrop for their Makerspace lab. I would also like to commend our high school student council for their $2,100 donation to the Multiple Sclerosis Society. Number 2 is stipends. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the stipend payments to district teachers who have served as cooperating teachers for students attending universities during the spring 2022 semester, as listed below. Field trips. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following overnight field trips in compliance with Policy 2340. We have the boys basketball field trip for during December break. They typically head down south somewhere for a a winter camp. And then a service learning trip to the Dominican Republic in June of 25. Neither of these trips are at the expense of the district. Number 4, transportation payments in lieu. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the payments in lieu of transportation for the attached revised lists of students from non-public schools and students living outside the non-public school attendance area who are ineligible for transportation for the 23-24 school year. The board approved a list of these students back in the summer. With a change in legislation, we now need to present anytime there's a change to these lists of new students. Number 5 is an agreement for students placed at Evolve. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the agreement that students placed at Evolve Academy will be provided educational services by the Medina City Schools for the following school district, and this is Cloverleaf Local Schools. We have provided services in the past. And as I mentioned last month, I did expect we would have more school districts, and probably we'll see a few more as the year goes on. Number 6, service agreements. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following service agreement with DebtBook for a lease subscription and implementation for management and accounting standards, compliance related to GASB 87 and GSAB 96. And that is being presented because it is the first time we are contracting with DebtBook. And then personnel, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel recommendations pending completion of all required paperwork per our Director of Human Resources, Mr. Shields. And you can see that this is by far the shortest list we have had in a long time. So I want to congratulate Mr. Shields for all of his hard work this school year in getting us up and running, as well as our principals for all the work they've done with the hiring process. I also want to thank Amy for this nice list of volunteers. Our Community Relations Department handles all our volunteers, ensuring that they are properly fingerprinted and safe to come in and work with our students. And that's why we have this list of volunteers presented this evening. Thank you.
Motion to approve the superintendent's action items.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Sable, I know you mentioned that the personnel list is the shortest one we've seen for a bit, but I'm certain that there's still probably lots of positions that need to be filled.
There are, hiring is ongoing throughout the course of the school year, especially when we're looking at classified positions, things like bus drivers, custodial positions, maintenance positions. Those are positions that typically we're hiring on a regular basis and probably currently have positions that still need to be filled. We're facing a shortage of applicants and quality individuals to fill those positions, just like other businesses are as well, where there's just a worker shortage out there right now. I know Mr. Shields has taken steps to try and increase the candidate pool, and that has helped to some degree. The other piece too is with the supplemental contracts. Rather than being on a yearly basis, many of those are seasonal, especially when we're looking at the coaching positions. So there will be ongoing contracts for personnel throughout the year as well. Also substitutes, whenever we can get new substitutes into the district, we jump at that opportunity and we'll make those recommendations as well.
I know that I see postings sporadically on our social media accounts. If someone is interested in a position, would you recommend they go to our website, or where's the best place for them to find out about openings?
Definitely to our website, and we utilize an online application system. It used to be called AppleTrack. I'm not sure it's still called AppleTrack. I know it's been sold and bought a couple of times, but the best place would be our website. We have comprehensive information if you go to the HR link on the website.
Thank you. If there's no other questions or comments, Mr. Chambers, when you're ready, please.
Mr. Ross? Aye. Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do not believe we have an executive session scheduled for this evening. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Thank you, Ms. Pritchard.
Mr. Ross? Aye. Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for attending, and enjoy your evening.